A Nike employee or a former Nike employee who is making the rounds with a video that is now circulating the internet talking about the situation involving Nike, Caitlin Clark, the slow play that they're doing, even doing so much to show how their stock is falling off the shelf. And let's talk about this video. You may have seen it by now. I'm going to show it to you again, but it's a former 15-year employee at Nike in the women's division. And
all right, buckle up, because Caitlin Clark didn't just play basketball. She detonated the entire sneaker industry. Her latest move? So audacious, it reportedly made even LeBron James double-check his multi-million-dollar Nike deal. Caitlin didn't just respond to a slight. She dropped a nuclear-level bombshell that has fans absolutely reeling, sent social media into an absolute frenzy, and left even the most hardened sneaker collectors scratching their heads. What exactly did she say? Why is a titan like Nike suddenly looking like a nervous rookie? And did Adidas just pull off the marketing heist of the century? You're about to find out, and trust me, this story is wild.
Such a big game for Caitlin, her returning to her alumni in Iowa and her hitting that massive logo 3, the logo 3 during the game, that some of her sponsors would want to show her support on social media, do any sort of marketing to uplift her and uplift their brand. And one who did do that was Gatorade. They tweeted a photo of her and they said, "Real home court advantage. Welcome back to Iowa, Caitlin Clark." Now, one of her lead sponsors that was noticeably quiet yesterday was Nike. And a lot of people were tweeting about this. They were wondering, why isn't Nike and Nike basketball, why are none of their accounts saying anything about this? Yes, it's a preseason game, but this is a huge day for Caitlin. She's returning to her alum.
So it turns out Caitlin Clark isn't just dropping jaw-dropping assists. She's inadvertently unleashed a torrent of receipts on Nike, almost without even trying. The iconic swoosh logo, once a beacon of athletic achievement, now looks more like a deflated checkmark of broken promises. Yes, you heard that right. Nike reportedly failed to uphold their end of the contract. But how could they botch something this massive? The very brand that pioneered sports endorsements is now inexplicably sidelining its biggest rising star, effectively ghosting her like a bad Tinder date with severe commitment issues. Seriously, Nike, we need to have a serious conversation about how you're handling Caitlin Clark. And the worst part? This isn't just a simple oversight.
Let's you and me talk about Caitlin Clark, since you refuse to talk about Caitlin Clark. I care deeply about you. I spent over a decade in your marketing organization. I spent several years trying to get into your organization, and it's been 3 years since I left your company. I'm just here as a friend. I care about you. I want to show you two different charts here. One, your stock price since 2021. It is down nearly 60%. Your executives and the people who are making these decisions, their stock options are worthless. Meanwhile, you have the single biggest needle mover in all of American sports since Michael Jordan, and you have somehow convinced yourself that you need to slow play this. Let me show you Google Trends search traffic for 4 female basketball players. There is one who only rivals Caitlin Clark, and that is Angel Reese, and you do not have her. She is over at Reese.
Let's get down to the cold, hard facts. Caitlin Clark is the undeniable breakout superstar in women's basketball right now, commanding unprecedented attention. Yet, bafflingly, Nike chose to treat her like an insignificant afterthought, akin to a forgotten item gathering dust in a clearance bin. You simply do not present a once-in-a-generation talent, someone single-handedly reshaping the sport with an uninspired, lukewarm endorsement offer while simultaneously elevating and hyping up virtually every other prominent figure in the league. This decision is particularly egregious when Adidas is aggressively flexing its financial muscles, clearly poised and ready to dominate the entire women's sports endorsement landscape. But what happened next was the real game changer.
How in the world is Nike not going full on Caitlin Clark phenomenon? You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever been
And then there's Adidas. Oh, they weren't just passively observing this unfolding drama. They were actively, strategically pouncing, much like a laser-focused predator in a room full of unsuspecting prey. The very instant Caitlin's management team even hinted at dissatisfaction with Nike's underwhelming proposal, Adidas appeared on the scene with a full-blown declaration. Hey, we've brought you your very own signature shoe line, exclusive colorways tailored just for you, and an unlimited, genuine supply of the respect you undeniably deserve. They didn't just send a polite bouquet of flowers, they delivered an entire meticulously crafted sneaker collection, complete with custom branding and an elite squad of marketing strategists literally poised to elevate her global presence to levels that could rival even Taylor Swift's phenomenon, especially in a stadium packed with devoted Swifties. And this was just the beginning.
A lot of conversation has been made around Caitlin Clark, her signature shoe, the Nike deal, and with how much Nike has been dragging their behind, which how much Nike has been moseying to the finish line when it comes to pushing the Caitlin Clark button, fans started speculating maybe this deal isn't as official as we thought it was. We get no signature shoe, no news of a shoe all season long. We get no merchandise all season long. We get no commercial.
Honestly, Nike, it's time for Caitlin to completely sever ties. She should drop them faster than a bad haircut right before prom night. Understand this. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She is the defining moment, the cultural phenomenon. If Nike somehow remains utterly blind to that undeniable fact, someone needs to hand them a clear mirror and a resignation letter delivered with the pinpoint precision of one of her perfectly arched jump shots. Because here's the unvarnished truth, the absolute real kicker. If Clark were to ink a deal with Adidas, her signature shoe line wouldn't just sell, it would absolutely obliterate every existing sales chart. We're talking Wilson, Who, levels of dominance. Caitlin's signature kicks would realistically outsell any Wilson product by a conservative margin of 10-1, if not even more. Kids would be frantically scalping them on StockX faster than you can even utter step back 3. Imagine them showing up to school proudly sporting Clark 1s as if they were wearing cherished holy relics. Grandparents would be camping out overnight at Foot Locker again, just like it was 1996, and a brand new Air Jordan Retro had just dropped. Nike fundamentally miscalculated who they were dealing with. Caitlin isn't a fleeting novelty act or merely the flavor of the month. She is, unequivocally, the absolute future of the league, and she's already delivering on that promise. Instead of proactively building an empire around her, they offered her a shoe deal with the same hesitant energy as a maybe RSVP to your wedding. This was a colossal, unforgivable mistake, because when the legions of fans discovered this baffling slight, they collectively lost their minds. Hashtags instantly began trending, deeply analytical threads were meticulously crafted, NBA players subtly and not so subtly weighed in, and even SportsCenter sources suddenly became remarkably chatty. And on that note, let's quickly address that infamous Angel Reese promo image for a second. Why just one photo? Why the bizarre, almost amateurish editorial choice that made it look less like an athletic endorsement and more like she was awkwardly walking off a photo shoot for a 2010 reality show reunion special? But the missteps only got worse.
Caitlin Clark's Nike deal might be the worst endorsement deal in the history of professional sports. You guys remember this billboard that was put up in Iowa? Well, that's one of the last times that Nike has done anything for Caitlin Clark. They promoted her more in college than they have at all the entirety of the WNBA season. She signed an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that also included her own signature shoe, which honestly, looking at it now, $28 million for 8 years is an absolute steal for this superstar, when a player like Wemby's Nike deal was rumored to be over $100 million. Caitlin has not only had an incredible rookie season, but she has also transformed the WNBA.
Now, let's be absolutely crystal clear. We are not suggesting that Angel Reese doesn't deserve significant attention or endorsement opportunities. What we are questioning emphatically is how that singular, questionable image became the flagship, primary representation of Nike's entire WNBA rookie class. Meanwhile, where is Sophie Cunningham, who, who, let's be brutally honest, is not only a legitimate baller with undeniable stats, but also plays for the very same team as Caitlyn. Unlike many of the more lifestyle figures in Nike's current ads, Sophie is mysteriously, glaringly absent from the spotlight. Where is her moment? Where is the dynamic Fever 3 players spread featuring Caitlyn, Aaliyah Boston, and Sophie Cunningham, all captured doing something fierce? With incredible lighting and an undeniable attitude, instead we're presented with one awkwardly cropped photo of Angel Reese looking like she's poised to absolutely read someone for filth at the reunion episode of Basketball Queens WNBA edition. Sophie is out there consistently draining crucial shots, relentlessly diving for loose rebounds, and passionately playing for a team that is quite literally the epicenter of this exhilarating new women's basketball renaissance, and Nike somehow acts like she doesn't even exist. That isn't just a misstep, that's an unmitigated, catastrophic PR faceplant.
Yeah, she feels as though that this Nike deal has been racially motivated. She believes that there's a disparity in how Nike is prioritizing and rewarding athletes like Caitlin Clark. And it's just, she's saying that athletes like Caitlin Clark are getting the better deals compared to other athletes, especially women of color. She additionally expressed her frustration through social media in her podcast, The Reese Life, suggesting that Nike was not treating all WNBA players equally.
It's akin to being offered musical legends like Beyoncé, Rihanna, and Adele for a Super Bowl halftime show, and then inexplicably choosing Jason Derulo instead. Make it make even a shred of logical sense. In stark contrast, Adidas would have instantly crowned Sophie the new face of their entire training apparel line, plastered her image on massive billboards across every major city, and probably even let her playfully throw shoes into the crowd after every game, just like a joyful parade float. The sheer difference in approach is beyond embarrassing. And speaking of shoes, let's rewind to the brewing shoe war because it's about to escalate into an all-out battle. Just imagine this scenario. Adidas confidently drops the Clark 1 Fire Edition. They wouldn't just sell out, they'd vanish in 4.3 minutes flat. Kids would be openly weeping in parking lots, and grown men would be brawling over toddler sizes. That's the kind of demand Nike is completely missing, and yet they keep fumbling.
All season long, and it had people thinking to themselves, maybe this deal that we all thought was finished and signed and completed isn't as finished, signed, and completed as we thought, or maybe they're renegotiating. Maybe Caitlin Clark on her end pulled back the reins, said, whoa, let's revisit this clause that I said if this doesn't get done in this amount of time, we need to revisit that. People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call.
Nike has been having one horrible week in the media, bro. And what's crazy is that everything started off great. They put out a wonderful Super Bowl commercial. Everybody was for Nike. You want to know what Nike did? Shot themselves in their own foot, man. Everybody's weighing in on this situation. We know they put out the wonderful Caitlin Clark commercial over the last weekend in the Super Bowl. Then the very next day, they messed up, put out another commercial. Didn't even mention Caitlin Clark's name at all. And then just yesterday, they re-edited the damn commercial and did a voiceover over it. Like, my goodness. If I was Nike, I'll just be quiet right now.
Meanwhile, Nike is still inexplicably operating under the delusion that giving Caitlin Clark a limited release somehow translates to an exclusive, desirable offering, when in reality, it's nothing short of profoundly underwhelming. They likely believe that shoehorning her into a generic group deal would appear collaborative and forward-thinking. Spoiler alert, it looks utterly lazy, uninspired, and frankly, insulting. It screams, let's just toss all the prominent female athletes into one undifferentiated bucket and label it a campaign. Clark's intensely loyal fan base didn't just passively observe this, they are absolutely seething with indignation. If Nike actually possessed a suggestion box, it would currently be engulfed in flames. And if we're being brutally honest, this entire debacle might just be the critical moment Caitlin needs to fully grasp that her phenomenal brand doesn't belong stifled and tucked away within the confines of some corporate boardroom PowerPoint slide. She isn't merely a bullet point on a presentation, she is the entire captivating presentation itself. itself. She single-handedly sells out massive arenas, inspires cross-country broadcasts that break viewership records, and makes seemingly impossible 40-foot shots look as effortless as a casual layup. Critically, she has meticulously built her colossal name, her unparalleled brand, and her far-reaching influence almost entirely without Nike's meaningful assistance, and, quite frankly, in spite of their missteps.
Hey, sports reporters, let's talk about Caitlin Clark and Nike. All right, now, I got to thinking about yesterday's event, and that's what it was. This was a sporting event we witnessed yesterday afternoon between the Fever and the Brazil national team. You want to know why Caitlin Clark games are different, haters? It's because her games are an actual event that you appointment tell.
So, given all this, why wouldn't she align with Adidas? They are demonstrably hungry, aggressively bold, and unequivocally unafraid to literally bet the entire house on a woman who has, without hyperbole, fundamentally reshaped the game. They would probably hand her an entire new athletic division and let her rename it Clark Performance if she so much as whispered the request. And let's be entirely realistic, her devoted fan base would follow her with the unwavering loyalty of disciples like she was M0C's parting the sneaker aisles. Meanwhile, Nike's strategic plan appears to be nothing more than a desperate attempt to play catch-up, perpetually late as if they're scrambling to gym class. All the while, Caitlin is effortlessly, almost casually, rewriting the very definition of rookie stardom, maintaining an outward appearance that this shoe dream isn't even a concern, which ironically only amplifies its significance. But the biggest slap in the face was yet to come.
2 years. The Asia Wilson sneaker was reportedly kept a secret. 2 years. While last year Nike's being drugged through the coals because Asia Wilson doesn't have a sneaker, yet people are screaming for Caitlin Clark to have a sneaker. And then they make it seem like they changed course and Asia Wilson's going to get a sneaker first. But 2 years. A 2-year lie. That's what happened yesterday in the unveiling of the Asia Wilson sneaker by Nike, which had Cheryl White, if I recall. I mean, I could swear I remember that. And because of that, largely a lot of players didn't like Caitlin Clark very much last year. They had to teach her a lesson by absolutely fouling the ever-loving shit out of her. But let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, aka Rudy the Hammer. This is where we talk facts over feelings. To all you who are back again, I appreciate y'all. Please be sure to like the video, leave a comment. And for those of you who are new, please be sure to pound that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. Nike unveiled Asia Wilson sneaker.
The fundamental truth here is that this entire saga transcends the mere specifics of a sneaker contract. This is profoundly about genuine visibility, deserved respect, and proper recognition for an athlete who has earned it. It's about the absolute audacity of attempting to shoehorn the single biggest, most influential women's basketball star on the planet into a bland, uninspired, one-size-fits-all marketing strategy, foolishly hoping she wouldn't notice the blatant disregard. Spoiler alert, again, she noticed. And perhaps even more critically, everyone else noticed too. So yes, Nike undoubtedly broke the contract, and we're not just talking about the cold, literal legal clauses. We're talking about the implicit, fundamental moral contract that dictates, you elevate us, and in return, we will elevate you. But instead of genuinely lifting Caitlin, they dismissively handed her a dull, generic pen and a flimsy copy of a group deal, treating it like an insignificant autograph napkin tossed aside after a corporate lunch meeting. Should she simply walk away? No, she should absolutely strut with unwavering confidence directly into Adidas headquarters. She should sign the single biggest, most groundbreaking endorsement deal in the history of women's sports. And then she should sit back and watch as her very first signature sneaker release burns a definitive swoosh-shaped hole directly through the entire industry. And just when you thought Nike couldn't possibly fumble this opportunity any harder, couldn't drop the ball with any more spectacular incompetence, they unveil the ultimate, almost unbelievable plot twist. Hey, guess guess what? We're launching a signature shoe for Aja Wilson. To be unequivocally clear, this is fantastic news for Aja Wilson. She is a phenomenal talent, a true legend, and she absolutely deserves it. But here's the blazing, awkward neon red flag of a question it immediately raises. Where in the H-Thurl is Caitlin Clark's signature shoe?
You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever been made in the history of Nike. How are you burying Caitlin Clark inside of a garbage ad, Nike, where you claim that the reason why women's athletes aren't successful is because of misogyny? What? Do you know men watch more women's athletics than women do? If misogyny actually existed, no male sports fans would watch women's sports, and they would be even less popular than they already are. Most Caitlin Clark fans...
Oh, right, it's probably still languishing in some forgotten, dusty Google Drive folder, nestled comfortably next to a long list of promising athletes Nike conveniently forgot to call back in 2023. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is seemingly everywhere, enjoying more prime camera time with Nike than even LeBron James's perpetually flexed calves during the NBA Finals. We're talking ubiquitous billboards, relentless promotional pushes, endless interviews, and constant commercial placements. She's undeniably pervasive. Yet, in this perplexing landscape, Nike appears absolutely determined to unilaterally crown her as the singular face of the league's next chapter, while simultaneously, glaringly, ghosting the very woman who is literally carrying the entire rookie class on her back, as if she's effortlessly toting a backpack full of bricks and a panoramic court vision. This isn't merely a questionable marketing strategy anymore. It's rapidly devolving into a full-blown corporate identity crisis, or perhaps a spectacularly public midlife sneaker meltdown. Because while Caitlin Clark is consistently lighting up arenas, pulling in unprecedented record-breaking viewership numbers, and sending social media into collective cardiac arrest every single time she casually sinks a 30-footer, Nike seems preoccupied with handing the primary megaphone to players whose most viral highlights are curiously centered around their outfits, rather than their actual offensive prowess. This brings us to the core of Nike's monumental miscalculation. Let's be incredibly clear on this point. Caitlin Clark isn't merely an athlete, she is a seismic, undeniable cultural phenomenon, a genuine inflection point in sports history, and Nike's perplexing decision to treat her like a bae.